with our first room set up, our first level set up, in this video, we're now going to add the player object into the room, and we're going to set up the controls so that the player can be moved around the game world. I'm going to start first of all by creating a new sprite. So I'm going to right click where it says Sprite, the Sprites folder. I'm going to go to Create and Sprite. And when I do that, this dialog box pops up, this editor box. I'm going to click in Name, and I'm going to change the name of the sprite to Sprite Layer. As I said in the previous video, it's important to use names for things that are going to help you remember what that thing actually is. And by using SPR for sprite and player, because it's the player, we know that that is the player sprite. Now, I'm not going to import an image for this sprite. I'm going to draw one using the internal drawing tools that GameMaker have got. And I'm going to go to Edit Image. And you'll see this editing screen will pop up. Because it's ShapeWorld, it makes sense that our player is going to be a shape. So I'm going to click on a nice bright colour. Let's pick that purple. In fact, let's click blue. I'm going to click on the pen. I'm going to choose a broader circular brush, and I'm going to draw a triangle shape into the screen here. You may wish to make your sprite a little bit more detailed. You might want to perhaps look up some graphics online and copy them. That's absolutely fine. I'm just going to draw a very basic sprite. When I've done that, I'm going to click the fill bucket, fill tool, and I'm going to fill that section of the sprite. Now I'm going to click close, and that's my player sprite created, and I'm going to close that. But creating a sprite isn't actually good enough to add something to the game world. Most things that we add into the game world require an object to be associated with them. So I'm going to move over here to where it says Objects in the asset browser. I'm going to right click, Create Object, and I'm going to call this object OBJ for Object Player. And where it says no sprite, I'm going to pick a sprite, the sprite that I've just created. I'm going to click on it. I'm going to go into sprites, and I'm going to click the Sprite Player. Now I'm going to open the room, and you need at this point to click on the Instances layer in order to add the player to the game. So click on the Instances layer, and I'm going to click on Object Player, and I'm going to drag across, and I'm going to plonk my sprite somewhere on the screen. And when I run the game, the sprite is there. So I'm going to close it. On the subject of layers, I am going to talk in a further video. I am going to talk a little bit more about layers, what they are and what they do. But for the time being, all you need to know is that you need to add the object player to the instances layer. So you've seen the game in action, but at the moment it's just a background and a sprite on the screen. But we want to make our player move. And in order to do that, we need to add some code to object player. So to add the code, I'm going to double click Object Player, and you'll see again this dialog pops up here. And on this right hand side, I'm going to click Add Event, and I'm going to go to Step and Step again. And when I do this, you'll see this screen pop up, and it's asking me whether I want to use GameMaker language code or GameMaker language visual. And for the purposes of this tutorial, I'm going to use visual, and I recommend that you do too, unless you're extremely confident and you want to use GML code. If you're going to stick with visual and you've no intention of changing, you can check these boxes, don't ask again for this project, or don't ask again ever. That's entirely up to you. But I'm going to go for GML visual, and I'm going to click OK. And I'm going to use my middle mouse button just to pull the screen across, these boxes across a little. Even better, I can tap F12 and clear the docking menus. Now, I've added this step event, and what the step event is it represents every time a frame is played. GameMaker runs at something like 30 frames a second, so this step event runs 30 times a second. So everything you include here is going to be checked and run, as I say, 30 times a second. And in this event, I want to put some code to control the player's movement. The first direction of movement I'm going to check is left. And to do that, I need to add a couple of these blocks of code. And these blocks of code represent commands. Anything I add into this section here will apply to our object player. So the first bit of code I'm going to add is to check whether the key is down. So I'm going to type in the search box key, and I'm going to go down to here where it says mouse and keyboard. I'm going to hover my mouse over to make sure I've got the right one, and I'm going to take if key down. I'm going to drag that in there. Now currently it says VK_space, but that's the space bar. But the button I want to check is the left arrow key. So I'm going to click the button to the right and choose left. And what that if block is going to do is it's going to check whether my left arrow key is pressed down or not. I'm now going to add some code to change the speed of my player. So I'm going to type in speed in the search box, and down by movement I'm going to pull this set speed across. But notice I'm going to add it here to the right hand side of the if statement. It's possible to add it here below it, but we don't want that to happen. This is going to be part of the if statement, so we need to add it to the right. And I'm going to set the speed now to 5. Now I'm going to set the direction of the movement by searching for the direction command, which again is in movement, and it's this set direction fixed. And I'm going to drag that across and place it under the set speed. And because I want to move left, I'm going to tap that button there to indicate that I want to move left. And now I'm going to run my code. I'm going to run my game. So I click the run button. The only problem that's going to happen now is I've pressed the left arrow button and let go of it straight away, but my player just zooms off the side of the screen. So I'm going to close my game, and I know that this code is working as it should do, but what I need to do is I need to stop the movement when the key is released. So I'm going to clear this search bar here, and I'm going to find another key. I'm going to bring in another key down command, this one. So it's just exactly the same, but this time I'm going to put it underneath, and you'll notice it kind of drops here to the bottom. And instead of VK space, I'm going to pick no key. And what this if statement is asking is, if there is no key pressed, then do whatever code is in the if statement. And I'm going to go back into my search bar and type speed, and I'm going to use another speed command. I'm going to bring that in. I want it to, at the right hand side, and I'm just going to leave it at that, set the speed to 0. And now when I run the code, I tap my left button and it moves, and it will stop when I release it. So it will move left and stop when I release it. However, when I press my right, down and up buttons, nothing happens. So I need to change the code, or should I say I need to add some code to make that happen. So I'm going to close my game. I'm going to go back into my code. I'm using my middle mouse button to scroll around the screen. And I'm going to bring in another if statement, another if key down. I'm going to add it above this one. This time I'm going to check for the right key, the right arrow key. And what I'm going to do, I'm essentially going to do exactly the same, just change a few settings. So I'm going to put speed, drag speed into there. Remember, it needs to be on the right hand side of the if statement. I'm going to set that speed to 5. And then direction, I'm going to search for direction. I'm going to bring that in under there. And this time the direction I want to go is right. So I click play, left, right, left, right, left, right. I'm going to do up and down. So I'm going to close my game again. I'm going to search for key down, drag it in above the key for the one for the right key. This time I'm going to go up to delete, search for the speed command. You probably gathered it's a little bit repetitive. It absolutely is repetitive, and that is sometimes programming in general. I'm going to set a movement, a direction there, and I'm going to press up. And then I'm going to go again, search for a key down, bring that in above there. This time I'm going to choose key down. I'm going to find a speed. That should go to the right. You see how easy it is to assign it to the wrong side. That should go to the right of the if statement. Set speed to 5. I'm going to add direction, drag that in, then down. And then when I run the code now, I can now move right, down, left, up, right, down, left, up. So that's your sprite. That's your sprite added. And that is the basic movement for the sprite. In the next tutorial, we're going to add some tiles, and we're going to make some changes to how the sprite moves. But for the time being, enjoy moving your sprite around the game. If you want to add a little bit of polish to your sprite, you can amend it so it is animated rather than just a single image. I'm going to show you how to do that now, but it isn't essential. You only need to do this if you have an inclination to. It's not something that you need to do for the course. I'm going to close the game screen. I'm going to move over here to the right hand side and open my assets panel. I'm going to click on to expand my sprites folder, and I'm going to double click Sprite Player. I'm then going to click on Edit Image. And this brings up the editing screen again, where you can make additions to your sprite. What you need to think about in terms of animation is that every one of these boxes, we're going to add some more of these boxes here, and each one represents a frame. And GameMaker runs at something like 30 frames a second, which means to get a second's worth of animation, you need to add 30 frames. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just add a few additional frames just to give you an idea of how to do it, and then you can experiment as you see fit. I'm going to move up to this frame here. I'm going to right click and go to duplicate frames. And I'm going to do this several times. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to duplicate it one last time. Right click, duplicate, making sure that I've got this frame selected, i.e. with the green line underneath it. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to pick the fill tool. I'm going to change the color of my sprite. And then I'm going to right click on the new colored sprite. I'm going to right click, duplicate, 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 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You've got to keep moving this scroll bar across. 10. And I'm going to close my sprite. I'm going to run the game. And now you can see that the sprite is animated. It changes color once every 10 frames and then back again. Now this is a particularly boring animation. It's not particularly interesting. But if you imagine a player sprite that is a top-down view of a human being, you could adjust, instead of just adjusting the colours, you could adjust the legs and the arms to simulate that sense of movement. And that's how you animate sprites in GameMaker.